Hi guys, this is at Carolina Varsity. We're in our 2015 season. We're at championship week, and we've got the 4AA state championship game between the Eastern Region champions, Greensboro Page, are going to meet the Western Region champions, Mallard Creek. The game will be at Carter Finley this Saturday at 12:05. I'm Dale Ross.
And I'm Matt Mallard, Pit Man, and let's take a look at some players to watch for both teams here in this game. For Mallard Creek, um, if you've watched us all season, you're going to hear some of the same names because they have talent that steps up consistently all over the field. Chancery Bowman, running back. If you're Greensboro Page, if you don't know about Mallard Creek, Chancery Bowman runs hard. He's got good size, and at that size, he's still got breakaway speed. You're gonna have multiple people wrap him up and bring him down. One guy is not gonna take this kid down, and he's made big plays all season long. Last week, he had the two big plays at the end of the game to push the game into overtime and win the game. So number 17 is a guy you're gonna have to watch.
He has over 1,500 yards rushing this season.
Very impressive. Grant Gibson, big lineman. He'll play both sides of the ball. He'll play multiple positions. Good size, good technique. He's nasty. That's the kind of lineman that I like watching on both sides of the ball. And if Allen Creek's running the ball well, it's probably going to be behind this kid.
Yep. No, he great ball player. I'm sorry. I don't have any stats on him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, pancakes and all that.
He's a two-way player. He can play at both. He can play both sides of the ball. Shut you down on defense, and a great blocker.
Yes,
part of that great offensive line they've got.
Obviously, Thad Moss. Everyone's heard about Thad Moss by now. He's got offers from everywhere. Tight end, wearing number 5. He'll also play some defensive end. The way I look at him, you're gonna have what East Forsyth did was interesting. They would try to run a bracket on him. They would have a linebacker under and a safety over the top. And if you're Page, I think in critical situations that might be something you look at. But even then, this kid will still find a way to get open. If he gets his hands on the ball, 9 times out of 10 he's going to catch it. Just a tremendous athlete. Good moves of getting off the line on both sides of the ball. It's somebody that Page obviously has to be aware of.
Yeah, he's a big kid, athletic, great hands. I think the ball gets near him. He can most times bring it in. Yeah, if it touches his hands, it's sucked in. Uh, he's a big boy, but he can be a threat down the field.
Yes.
So coming from that
Yes.
tight end position, he's not just going to hit you with what your normal tight end stuff is. He can get you downfield. So.
And that's another point. They will split them out in the red zone, especially and throw the fade to them. So that's something to watch if you're Greensboro Page. And last but certainly not least, because Mallard Creek has a bunch of talented kids, but we can't, name the whole roster. James Smith, the quarterback, 2-time state champion. He showed his heart last week. His team was down. They had a little over 2 minutes left in the game. They drove the length of the field, put it in the end zone, put it into overtime, and then he led that option that we mentioned earlier,
Right.
and helped score the winning points in the game. A kid like this, you can never doubt. You can never count him out of anything. He's not the biggest kid. He's not, NFL size or whatever, but he's got the heart of a champion and the drive of almost anyone that I've ever seen before. He's very athletic. He's a dual threat guy. If he's throwing the ball well, the Mallard Creek offense is really tough to stop.
And I can't add anything more to that, but I'm going to add another player,
Yeah,
Josh Brown. He has 20 tackles for loss on the season. So that's a guy on defense to keep your eyes on. He's all over the field. He'll be in the backfield. He'll be out in coverage. He's going to Florida State. Very, very good ball player.
Yeah, I totally concur with that. Looking at Greensboro Page, I watched the game, watched a couple of their games, especially the one against Middle Creek, their last game, and there were several kids that really stood out. DeAndre Overton, who was a player of the week, he plays both sides of the ball. He's an impressive athlete, really good size. We talk about Division I size. This kid has it. He can go get it in the passing game. He can also lock it down in the secondary. He showed that with 3 interceptions last week.
Right.
So if he catches it, if he picks a ball off, he can take it to the house too. So he's a real threat. That's someone that Mallard Creek really has to be aware of on both sides.
He has 7 interceptions on the season.
Mm.
So definitely someone that they will have to be concerned about if they get into the passing game.
Exactly.
Yes, sir.
Greensboro Page quarterback Will Jones. He stands tall. He's got good size, and he throws it well. Especially when he's given time, and he had time last week. And that's why their offense looked good throwing the ball when they did. He can be slippery in the pocket. I wouldn't call him a dual threat guy, but he really reminds me of Davis Cheek at Butler with the way that he can kind of get out of situations and keep plays alive and still get the ball downfield to those big threats that he has.
Well, he's got 10 rushing TDs on the season.
Okay.
So he's not a huge dual threat, but that's a pretty 321 yards. So he's ran the ball 84 times, 321 yards.
Well, he'll keep you honest.
Yeah, exactly. And he's thrown for 28 TDs on the season and thrown for right at 2,900 yards. So very, very good quarterback.
Yes, sir. Miles Faison, the number 2 receiver for Greensboro Page. I think he's going to be a really important guy in this game.
Right.
Mallard Creek has had trouble with the pass, and we all know that all season long. You would figure that they're going to put their best guy, or whoever they feel their best guy is, on Overton. So whoever the number 2 guy is, against Faison. Faison's a really good receiver.
Right.
So if you're Mallard Creek, you're going to have to, I think they're going to have to get those linebackers involved in this passing game. Get them kind of to play underneath these zones. I don't think man, depending on what they do, if they bring some other guys over from offense, maybe that helps out. In a championship game, you don't hold anything back. So you might see some different guys that normally don't play defense on that defense side of the ball. So that chess match is going to be real important to see. Faison's a very good receiver.
So when I looked at my players to watch, I thought about him as you kind of look for, is there going to be a player that you haven't seen that might step up? And they throw the ball to Overton almost 2-1 to him.
Mm-hmm.
He's had 43 receptions on the season, 580 yards, 3 TDs. But certainly, if the focus is over on Overton and they're putting, a better coverage guy over there, Jones or whoever they may put on him, this could be a kid that could step up and have a big game.
Now you got Javon Leak. Running back there. His numbers are very impressive. He was a player of the game for us. Watching him on film, his size is really impressive for the position, and he can also run away from you. I tell you, man, they are a heck of an offense. What are his stats for the season?
His stats, he's carried the ball 241 times for 1,858 yards, 25 TDs.
Wow.
So he is someone that Mallard Creek will have to account for. Obviously, that's a huge part of their offense right there. The quarterback in this guy here is where the bulk of their offense is going to come from. Yeah.
Alan Tisdale is the leading tackler for the Page Pirates on the defensive side of the ball. He's a 6'3" kid, 195, defensive back. He's got 123 tackles on the season and
4 sacks.
Yeah, so he's going to be around the football at all times.
Exactly.
And you got another guy to watch there on defense.
Yeah, I got a couple of other guys, and I don't know how to pronounce his name, but he was a defensive player of the year in the All Metro 4A conference for playing for Page. Elijah
Yarasuba.
Okay, we'll go with that. 107.
That's right.
107 tackles, 8 sacks, a fumble recovery, and a blocked. I think it's a blocked punt. They just said blocked. I don't know if it was a blocked punt or a blocked PAT.
Okay.
But him making defensive player of the year tells me he's a baller that you're going to have to offensively. You'll have to account for him most definitely.
Exactly.
And were you through with your players?
Yeah.
So, so Overton, we mentioned he had 7 interceptions, and just another kid I thought you might want to look at, Tyler DeBerry, 75 tackles. He has 8 sacks on the season.
Yeah, he plays in the interior of that defensive line. I believe he's number 30. He'll be right over the center there. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't put numbers down for this game. I've got them for the other game. But Tyler and Elijah both, there's 16 sacks between the 2 of them. So there's going to be 2 guys that'll have to be.
And Elijah is number 8. I do remember that. Tisdale wears number 3.
Mm-hmm.
Overton is number 14. Leak is number 1. Jones of QB is 15. And Faison, I believe, wears number 2. So those are the numbers you want to watch if you're a Mallard Creek fan. Taking a look at it on the field, a lot of people are looking at this game thinking it's going to be an offensive shootout. So we're going to take a look at the defensive sides of the ball. Obviously, the Mallard Creek secondary is the thing that what they have to watch. Page has those talents that can really go get it. We mentioned the 2 receivers, Faison and Overton, but they also have another guy that can get in there and can make plays down the field. The secondary they're gonna have their hands full, and Mallard Creek's gonna have to make a choice because you got Leak in the backfield who runs for all these yards, and then you got this passing game. So, what are you gonna do? I mean, most teams, in theory, want to stop the run first. In this case, do you trust your front maybe 6 or 7 because you're gonna have to? You can't put more than 7 in the box against these guys. They spread you out with formation, and they're going down the field. So you got to trust those 6 or 7 guys to play, gap control defense with integrity. It's got to be won at the line of scrimmage. I think if Mallard Creek is going to have success in slowing this offense down, that's the advantage that they have, the defensive line. If you looked at the receivers versus the secondary, you would say Page is the favorite there, just based off what we've seen all season long.
Right.
So up front, it's got to be where it's won for Mallard Creek on defense to help that secondary out, getting pressure on Jones, breaking their rhythm, and controlling Leak, and don't let him get those big gashing runs that they were getting last week against Middle Creek. For Greensboro, Page, their front 7, we all know what Mallard Creek wants to do. They want to come out and they want to establish the run and control the pace of this game, because offensively, if they're able to run the ball and get first downs, that's keeping that strong Page offense off the field. Right. And Middle Creek last week, Page was doing a lot of blitzing, and it really messed up Middle Creek's timing with what they wanted to do on offense. So if you're Mallard Creek up front, I'm sure they're working on blitz pickup, things of that nature. If guys are showing in certain gaps how to, adjust the blocking schemes or change out of the play. So that's something you're going to have to watch. I expect Page to be very aggressive. Most people coming in have Mallard Creek as the favorite. Page, I think they're a 6 seed that advanced this far, so they don't have anything to lose.
Yeah, they're both 6 seeds.
Oh, well.
Yep, they're both 6 seeds, yep.
You know how I feel about Mallard Creek and their seeding. I'm not going there. But those are the 2 things that, for me, that I would look at if I'm a fan wanting to enjoy this game.
And probably should have done this first, and probably need to do that in the next video. I'm going to go down some CV report stuff first very quickly, just to let you know what we're looking at. For Greensboro Page, they're the number 6 overall team, power rated team in the state. They're the number 6 4A team. They're number 4 4A scoring offense at 43.3 points a game. Their defense, though, is not rated in the top 20. And they're the number 7 4A scoring differential, a 24.1. Now, just staying on Page just a second, one of the things that will make them a little more difficult to defend is that they are diversified.
Yeah.
They're not, one heavy one way or another. 321 passing plays, 433 rushing plays, 280 2,870, excuse me, passing yards, 2,771 rushing yards. So very, very balanced. Obviously, they run the ball a little more than they pass, but when you're looking at yardage, and yardage works out about 50-50, so they can hurt you both ways. So they're going to have to be accountable for the run game, most definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they'll have to play 7. I'd see them coming out in the 4-3 and traditional 4-3, and because they're going to have to account for the run. They might do some run blitzing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. I think I would. But they can't go heavy one way or the other because Page can hit them either way. Unfortunately, I don't have that kind of breakdown on Mallard Creek because they don't share their stats, but I can give you the CV report stuff. Mallard Creek is the #1 overall team in the state, which also means they're the #1 overall 4A team.
Mm-hmm.
They're the number 10 4A scoring team, 31.4. So about 4 points less a game they score. But they're the number 13 scoring defense at 16.9. Now that's not, when you think about that, that's not like Charlotte Catholic numbers good, but that's really good. And I think one of the things when you look at this and you see that Greensboro Page's defense didn't even rank, you're probably looking at two offenses that are close to each other and a little bit stronger defense here by Mallard Creek. And their scoring differential is 27. They're number 5 in the state, 27.1 points a game. So the report says that this will be a Mallard Creek win, 43-35.
Shootout.
It's important to mention that Page defeated Mallard Creek in the regional finals in 2011 when Page won the state championship. And that's a game that, in all honesty, I think Mallard Creek had every opportunity to win, but they did some hokey play calling in that ball game, which I think the coaches have all learned some things from that point. I think there's a little sticking point from what I'm hearing about that particular loss. So there's some motivation, and I'm gonna tell you what, Paige, they had motivation for Huff that fired them up, and it really caused an output that I've never seen before. And now if they got another motivator, they didn't have a motivator last week other than to win. Now they got a motivation beyond winning, and that's to avenge this previous loss.
Well, there's some other motivation too from things that were said on social media, and it's this whole Charlotte against the world thing.
Oh, sure. And that's all. Unfortunately, that's always out there.
Yeah.
Everybody hates the Charlotte teams, and you want to beat up on it. And I hear you. And it would be great to see some parity around the state. To be quite honest with you, I think 43-35. I mentioned on the forum today that I'm thinking it's a 1-2 score. Mallard Creek has to be a 1-2 score favorite in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Mallard Creek doesn't come out, and if they're not completely on their game, and Page is, then they could certainly pull the upset, if you want to call it an upset. Mallard Creek comes out on their game. I think Page is going to really need players to step up to stay in pace, and their offense has shown they can do it. So.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, they're an impressive looking offense. But like you mentioned, that defense. When a defense blitzes the way I saw Page blitzing, it's almost a feast or famine kind of thing.
Sure.
And if you hit the right gap, even in the run game, you lock down and kick out to the house because there's nobody at that second
level. No, once they come in, exactly, that second level is vacated, and maybe part of the third level is they're either spread or they may be coming up, and you've only got to make maybe one move to once you get past that line of scrimmage. You got maybe one downfield athletic move you got to make to score. So
exactly. So you guys going up there, you gotta. If you're leaving from the Charlotte area, that's what, a 3-hour drive?
It's right at 3 hours. Yeah, I'd expect people to be leaving 7 o'clock in the morning or so, 8 o'clock at the latest, try to get into the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Won't be a lot of people. I mean, there'll be a lot of people there, but when you get to the stadium, and this is the bad thing about playing at Carter Finley and at Keenan both, is the stadiums are so big.
Yeah, swallows it.
Swallows everything up. You'll have plenty of parking.
Mm. So go ahead and get you some Bojangles biscuits on the way, and enjoy the trip.
There you go.
You guys be safe, and we'll be looking forward to you guys' reports. You guys have done a great job all season.
And most likely I'll be there. So it's on my list that I've turned in to attend. If health lets me do it, I'll be there. All right. Thanks. Have a good game.